What is up, studs? Ryan here, or MandRproductions, and today we may have our very first LEGO Star Wars 2026 set rumors. Now, it's June 17th, so it does feel a bit early, but it's not impossibly so. We've had the next year of set rumors as early as February of the current year, so this could have happened way earlier, theoretically, but historically, it normally happens in mid to late July and early August, but I just want to point out that it's not impossibly early, that these could be true leaks and rumors of 2026 sets. Now, that also being said, this doesn't seem to come from the most reliable sources, but the only reason I'm really choosing to cover this is because the list feels like legitimate sets that they might actually make next year. We'll start out with the smallest one and work our way up to the biggest with the Siege of Mandalore Battle Pack. This one's been a long time coming, in my opinion, if it does end up coming out this year. It's what I really hoped that 332nd Battle Pack in the summer of 2023 would have been, as this one is reported to include 2 332nd clones and 2 Super Commandos, the Darth Maul Mandalorians, and this would be a sick duo battle pack. Again, LEGO's been doing these kind of dual battle packs a lot lately, and I think it's been working really well, so it would make a lot of sense to me that they would want to continue that. I'm curious what we would see as far as a build if this set ends up being true. Maybe we just end up getting a smaller Clone Walker build again, smaller of course than what we're going to see in the upcoming 327th battle pack. Maybe they do a small Mandalorian speeder and a small speeder for the clone troopers just so you have a little vehicle for them both, or maybe it would end up being some sort of scenery build like we saw with the last Mandalorian battle pack in summer of 2024. So kind of could go any direction there. As far as the figures, obviously we haven't had Super Commandos since 2013, so those would be sick to see a return of, and certainly would be improvements on what we saw back in 2013. The clone troopers, always fingers crossed that they will actually improve them this time. Our last 332nd troopers were downgrades over the original 2020 version, so I'm hoping we at least go back to what we had in 2020 as far as the helmets are concerned. Otherwise, I don't think the torso and leg design will really change from what we've been seeing. Next up is a set that also makes a lot of sense to me for them to release in a Darth Vader bust. We got one of these back in 2019. There currently is a Darth Vader helmet, which I don't think is retiring this year, which makes it a little bit questionable to me that they would have both on the shelves at the same time. But if two similar sets like that can exist at the same time, Darth Vader would be the character, certainly. And they've started off this bust mini line in 2025 here with a couple of Marvel characters, so to me it would make sense to see it expand outside of Star Wars. I didn't really expect it to happen, frankly, as I've discussed in some prior videos, but it seems like if this rumor is true, it will be happening, and it makes sense. I just didn't think they would do it because of the helmet lineup, frankly, for LEGO Star Wars and how much they're doing with that. But if the Darth Vader bust comes true, I'm sure it will end up being a pretty cool looking set, as I do think the Marvel ones look pretty good, and the Darth Vader helmet honestly doesn't look that good, so this could be better than the helmet set. Next up, we've got a MIDI scale Venator, which I'm most questionable about on this list. We saw them release the Acclimator for 2025, and to me, that indicated that they wouldn't do a Venator. That the Venator, because there was the bigger version, they didn't want to do the smaller version, and the smaller version wouldn't scale well with the invisible hand, apparently, so they didn't want to do that. That's just what kind of a lot of the talk had been. It's also odd to me that they wouldn't have released it this year for the 20th anniversary of Revenge of the Sith, so I think there's a lot of question marks there as to why the Venator would be coming out in 26 and not 24 or 25. But at the end of the day, it's still a set that they should make, and it's a set that fans want them to make. Why wouldn't you make it? So, all of those weird little circumstances aside, it still makes sense for them to make a MIDI scale Venator at some point, and 2026 just might be it. If it does come out, we can probably expect, it's got to be at least $70, right? It's not going to be cheap like the $50 Acclimator or $50 Invisible Hand. It's probably going to be a lot closer to that Super Star Destroyer type of scale, in my opinion. Now, the next couple of sets are supposedly going to be based on the new Mandalorian movie that I believe doesn't come out until next May, which also makes me kind of question this list, but at the same time, these are very sensible things for them to make. They're things that I have said in my Q&A videos recently that I think they will make, with the Playscale Razor Crest first and foremost here. I assume the design would be quite similar to what we saw in 2020. I can't imagine they could change it up too much to make it much better. Hopefully they certainly won't downscale it and make it worse, but that's probably what will end up happening. I imagine it probably will be a slightly smaller version of the Razor Crest, if anything, to bring it down to, let's say, $100 price point. That might be a little bit crazy to get down that low, but it could happen, certainly. As far as minifigs, of course, you can expect the Mandalorian and Grogu. Who else? Probably just depends on kind of what happens in the movie, honestly, but a lot of potential there for some other characters, and a new design of the Razor Crest certainly would be interesting to see. Finally, the set that I think will come in at the most expensive price point, probably $180, honestly, based on the last one being $160, the Playscale AT-AT. And this one should look distinct from the Hoth versions, as in the trailers that we've seen leaked, it does have a different head design, and there might be some other little aspects of it that are different. I didn't really look that deeply into it. I'm also sure, again, you'll get a Mandalorian and Grogu minifig. As far as what else, we did see in that leak trailer, which I don't think I can show, so I'm not going to show, some other characters on board the AT-AT there. And so I assume like we'd get the pilots that we see and some of the troopers that we see on board it, and that would kind of be your figure selection, unless there's other scenes with the AT-AT elsewhere in the movie that we haven't seen yet from our leak trailers. So I think that one is going to be a killer set, certainly at, I assume, $180. Again, that's also assuming they're not going to downscale the AT-AT, but I don't think that set is super eligible to be downscaled, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like you got to keep it at the size it's at because it's just that cool. So we'll see what happens, but I assume that one will remain about the same size as what we saw in 2020. So let me know what you guys think about these new rumors in the comment section below. Do you think they're true? Do you think they're false? If they are true, pretty good, right? Like, I think it's a solid 5 sets there. I assume these aren't all January 1st, because if those Mando sets are coming out, they're probably coming out as part of like a Mando movie wave that would happen a little bit closer to May. I mean, they did used to release the like new Star Wars movies that would come out in December. They would release those sets in September. So it's certainly not impossible that these sets could come out earlier than you might think. There's just a lot of variables, and it's not always going to be the exact same every time. But very interesting 5 set rumor list for 2026. I lean towards it being fake just because of where it comes from, but at the same time, like I said, it's a very reasonable list. All 5 of these could very legitimately, very reasonably come out in the first half of next year. So if you guys enjoyed, hit the like button, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next LEGO Star Wars 2026 rumor update. And yeah, I can't believe it's already started. 2026 rumors. True or not, they're rumors.